Yo, what's up, MMA fans, man? It's your boy, MMA Blaze, whatever you see fit to call me. I'm back at it again here to do another video. This time I want to talk about some interesting things. And I want to actually, I also want to say something, man. I'm not really sure about this, but like I said, I don't want to accuse anybody. But man, it's just some strange shit been going on lately with this YouTube shit, man. You know, let me just think here. hmm. I'm not gonna lie, man. I got a couple of subscribers. I got a couple of people that know about me. Not a lot. I'm kind of new to this um UFC predictions and reviews and stuff like that, and just overall concepts about MMA. Um, you know, but I'm not really new as I used to be, but I'm fairly new at it, and I don't really have a lot of viewers. And the reason being, I'm gonna get into Fedor versus GSP in a minute. You know what I'm saying? But I just wanna say this. I've been kind of noticing, me. First and foremost, I want to say shout out to all the video bloggers on here, about MMA. And look, you know what I'm saying. People who cover MMA, you know what I'm saying, and just everybody who loves the sport. Big ups to them, man. But I like watching everybody's videos. I like watching all of them, and um, when you see other people's videos up here, they kind of inspire you to come up here and do videos too. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you have to respect when somebody comes up with a topic and somebody comes up with an idea and you didn't, and you go to another person who gets less views than you. Let's just say you have 1,000 subscribers. Let's just say this, okay? Let's just say this, and you're way more known than this one guy. But you figure this one guy comes up with so much ideas. Instead of coming to his page and saying, "Hey, what's up, man? Great video," or you know what I'm saying, you come up with some interesting topics, interesting thoughts. You kind of like rip off his topics and run back to your. It's basically like your channel and your viewers and people who think that you come up with all this. You know what I'm saying? Not to say I'm not calling any names. You know what I'm saying? But it's floating around on YouTube. Sometimes this shit goes around, and I'm not saying they don't come up with anything on their own. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying sometimes it seems as if they watch other people's videos, and they watch people who don't get as many views as they do, and kind of try to you know just basically steal their idea and make and come up with a topic and make it seem like they did, and just rearrange it just a little bit. And I know it's not a coincidence because, like I said, I've did videos, and and not just me. I've seen it happen to other people too, but I just never said anything. Like I said, I won't call anybody out on it unless I have to. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But like I say, you can make videos about what the hell you wanna, talk about. But I know me myself. You know what I'm saying? If I seen somebody that made interesting points about a fight, or just anything that I thought was interesting, if I wanted to do a video about that because they gave me an idea, the first thing I would do is in the video I would give them a shout out. Or they don't even have to give me a shout out. You could just say, "I heard this from another viewer on here. He brought up some interest." You don't even have to say nobody's name because I don't want anybody to say my name. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not what I'm really. To be honest, I'm doing this because I love covering it. You know what I'm saying? And I like talking about the sport. That's what I love. But you know what I'm saying? I'm just not gonna disrespect somebody and take whatever they thought. You know what I'm saying? What it was, and then like come back to my channel and act like I came up with that topic. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of people doing it. If I did think what they were talking about was interesting, like I said, I would be like, oh man, it was another guy on here on YouTube talking about this. I just want to say, he if he sees this video, he know who's he is. He know who he is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna call no names because everybody don't. Some people don't like shout outs. You know what I'm saying? But at least give a person respect and don't pretend like you came up with all this shit when you didn't. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, you know who you are. You know what I'm saying? You know who you are. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna call you out on it, but like I say, you know who you are. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a coincidence because like I say, I could post a video about something one day, and it'll be posted like on another somebody else's like 2 days later. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn. At first I thought it was like a coincidence, but then I'm like, oh, hold up, what the fuck is going on? You know what I'm saying? But anyways, like I say, shout out to you, big ups to you, man. If that's how you get down, hey man, that's you, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, man, hey, big ups to you. But I know y'all know what I'm talking about. If y'all can relate to me, man, you know, I'm sorry I had to bring that, but I feel like that needed to be said, like that need to be talked about, just so that person didn't think like I was stupid and I didn't know like sometimes what they do. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. Like I say, man, I'm just doing this because I love to do it. So whatever. But yeah, man. Basically, I want to get into Fedor versus GSP. And now, when I say this, I don't mean, and I mean, I don't mean George St. Pierre fighting Fedor and who's the best, who will win. No, 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 that's not a fucking chance. That's not what I'm saying. Basically, I'm talking about who do you think overall is the best mixed martial artist? Who's better at putting, you know how they say Fedor is good at everything. He's good at jujitsu. You know, I think they say he's what, brown belt level. I can't remember. I don't know, but I know they he's great at jujitsu. Obviously, you can see they submitted a number of guys. Um, he's great at striking. He's knocked a couple of people out and he's dominated on the feet. Um, and his wrestling is okay, but he has great sambo. It's like a form of wrestling, but it's a lot different, like a form of wrestling slash jujitsu, or whatever the hell. I mean wrestling slash judo. Excuse me. You know what I'm saying? Judo or whatever you want to think of it as being. It's getting your opponent to the ground, tossing them, throwing them, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And Fedor's great. He's pretty much good at everything, and he's a great fighter, as we know. So George St. Pierre is okay at jiu-jitsu. See, we're going to just add this up. George St. Pierre is okay at jiu-jitsu. He's a decent striker. He can do well on the feet if he chooses to stand and strike, like we've seen recently, and we've always seen, But he just chooses to do wrestling all the time. But he's a great wrestler. But he's not the best wrestler, no matter what you people think. George St. Pierre is a great wrestler, but he's not the best in MMA. The reason why people are saying is because George St. Pierre, he has great timing, and he knows when somebody thinks it's going to be a stand up. All of a sudden you get somebody shooting in for a double leg takedown, and you on your ass. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically what George St. Pierre is. He has great timing and great reflex, and George St. Pierre. What else does he have here? Okay, he has striking, decent striking, okay jiu-jitsu, and he has great wrestling. So, who's better at what? I would say Fedor's better than George St. Pierre in jiu-jitsu. I would say he's better than George St. Pierre is striking. Now, if you want to get technical, George St. Pierre is the more technically sound striker because he does have a karate background, and he trains boxing. Fedor doesn't really have a boxing style. You know what I'm saying? Fedor just throws looping punches, but he does what works for him. It may seem like he's just throwing punches, but he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's aiming at, and Fedor will knock you the fuck out. Period. So let's just say Fedor knocks more people out on an accident than George St. Pierre does on purpose. So guess what? I am going to give the striking aspect to Fedor as well. Not the technical side, but just overall, just knowing how to hurt guys and getting them out of there. Got to go with him on that. So I got to go with George St. Pierre on the wrestling, just because George St. Pierre seems to be able to know how to take somebody down anytime he gets good and ready. The only guy I really seen stuff his takedowns is BJ Penn and Josh Koscheck. But guess what? Sooner or later, those guys always, gassing always plays a part. Josh Koscheck may not get very gassed, but he gets gassed enough to the point where he doesn't have his full dose of energy like he did in the beginning of the fight. And guess what? George St. Pierre is able to take advantage of that and take him down. Even if he's not able to do anything dominant to him while he's down there, he's able to take him down, and period. And same thing with BJ Penn. He's able to take BJ Penn down after he gasses. So those only guys I see able to stuff his takedowns sometimes. And George St. Pierre, I would have to give wrestling to George St. Pierre. But an overall thinker and an overall basically somebody who knows how to put stuff together, and always have a smart game plan and knows his weaknesses and knows his strength. I would have to give that to GSP as well, because Fedor is the type of person, he doesn't give a damn if everybody says that you're better than him in striking. He doesn't care if they say you're better than him in jiu-jitsu, wrestling. He's going to go out there and he's going to fight you, and he's going to try to beat you or whatever. He's going to try to beat you at what you think you're better than him at. That's what type of guy Fedor is. He has the heart of a fighter. the heart of a champion, the heart of a lion, and he fights with no fear. That's the reason why you seen him get submitted, just recently. But until then, it worked for him for years. You know what I'm saying? And I continue that he was. I think he would continue to fight like that, but I think that he will straighten a little bit. Some other things out here. I think we're going to see a very new and improved Fedor, a vicious Fedor when he comes back. I want to make a video about the return of Fedor and everything, so you guys stay tuned for that. But what do you guys think? Who is the best of an MMA? You know, specialist, or who's better at putting it together? Whatever you think. You know what I'm saying? If you think George St. Pierre is better than Fedor, a better mixed martial artist, whatever. If you think Fedor's a better mixed martial artist, then you do. Me personally, I gotta go with Fedor, but George St. Pierre is not close from being, you know, like the main guy who knows how to put stuff together. He's better at putting stuff together than Fedor. He knows how to use all of his tools in a fight. But I would just really overall have to say that Fedor is better than George St. Pierre in most aspects of the MMA game, because he's better at jiu-jitsu. He hits a lot harder. He's faster when it comes to throwing his hands. I'm not going to say overall he's a faster fighter, because I've never really seen Fedor throw leg kicks really at all. And listen, I never seen Fedor really throw a lot of kicks. He throws them every now and then, but yeah, man. Like I say, I'm just thinking in my head right now. I just think that Fedor is better than George St. Pierre. It 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 in more things than St. Pierre is better than him. So I got to go with Fedor, man. So yeah, you guys let me know what you think about this, man, and who do you think is the better mixed martial artist? So yeah.